Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a very interesting one actually. I've been curating this list of hot takes on makeup, beauty, skincare, perfume. There are a lot of hot takes, in fact, which is going to cover 10 today. But I have like over 15 and probably even more. I'll keep adding as I get some in my head. So let me know if you want me to do a part 2 of this video, like basically a continuation, and I will keep sharing my hot takes with you guys. But in today's video, that's what this video is going to be about. Also, if you're not aware like what the term hot takes means, it's basically an unpopular opinion on certain like a certain concept that is like considered as a norm or like a standard in the industry, and most people tend to believe that, and I will kind of tell you what my unpopular opinion is. That's essentially what a hot take is. So yes, we're going to cover a lot of very interesting hot takes in this video, so let's jump right into it. The first one is designer and luxury fragrances are actually worth the money. Now this is something, oh my god, there are a lot of people who actually believe that luxury fragrances are just marked up and they are just more expensive because of the brand name or the packaging, and I would partially agree with that. I'm not going to say that I completely disagree with that. I do agree that a lot of times certain brands just slap on their name on a certain product, and it's just the packaging that is very luxe, but the fragrance inside might not necessarily be very unique in terms of the scent profile. That being said, I personally feel like the quality of fragrance a lot of times significantly differs, and the reason I'm saying that is I'm giving you a very specific example, and it might be different when it comes to different brands. But if you compare Zara fragrances to the real thing, like Zara usually tends to dupe their fragrances from different high-end brands basically. So if you compare any original fragrance and then compare the Zara dupe side by side, the scent I don't think is similar at all. It might be like sort of resemblant, but it's not the same for sure. The other thing is that the quality of the fragrance, like how potent the juice smells, how intense it is, the entire facet of the fragrance is so different. So that's why when I see Zara dupe videos anymore, I'm just like, people are probably making that video to let people know what Zara dupe they can find for a high-end fragrance they might not be able to afford, which is completely okay. But calling something a dupe when the fragrance is not as potent, not as strong, not as I cannot think of the specific word, but like there is almost that juiciness and like that potent smell that you get when you are talking about a high-end designer fragrance. The affordable fragrances, for some reason, they just smell like a watered down version, is the best way that I can put it in my words and in my opinion. So yes, the designer fragrances are more expensive, but they are more expensive for a reason. Is the ingredients used, I feel like, are a little bit better. That being said, certain affordable brands do make really good fragrances. I don't want to discount them at all. I don't want to tell you that you have to spend your high-end like you don't have to spend a lot of money getting a good fragrance in general, but I do feel like out of the fragrances that I have owned from more high-end designer brands, they are actually significantly better than the affordable perfumes that I own in my collection personally. So some people are gonna hate me for saying this, but I actually think it's true. Any which ways, I cannot be talking for 4 minutes just about one hot take. We have to jump into this more quickly and cover as much as we possibly can, hopefully 10 in this video. So the next hot take is drugstore makeup packaging is very cheap and flimsy. This is another one of those things where I feel like sometimes high-end is better, not always, because a lot of times I've heard like with certain high-end brands the packaging is still flimsy, so I'm like, then what are you paying the expensive rupees for? And because I don't own a lot of high-end makeup, I cannot say that high-end makeup packaging is better because I have not owned much. But with certain brands, specifically Makeup Revolution, and then I think Wet n Wild also, I would say. The drugstore makeup packaging is very cheap and flimsy. Of course, you have to keep in mind that you're not paying as much, so you're not going to get like an extremely luxe product. But if you have a certain makeup product like an eyeshadow palette or a contour palette, something that you're not going to use up very quickly, I would rather get a better packaging, because it's going to last me those 5, 6, 7 years, versus if I get a more affordable one, the product still wouldn't last because the packaging would break on me. And this has happened with multiple affordable products. So yes, talking about that, high-end makeup and high-end perfume could be worth it, but high-end skincare is definitely not worth it, because the first thing you have to consider is you will go through your skincare in 2 to 3 months regardless of how much money you're spending on your skincare. So if you're buying high-end skincare, either you're not going to be able to keep it up because you cannot keep repurchasing expensive products every 2 to 3 months, or if you do end up doing that, you are going to spend so much money that you could rather invest in something like a high-end fragrance, or even high-end makeup, or even clothes for that matter, because clothes would last you, of course, years, just like perfume and makeup, but skincare you're going to use up. So high-end skincare is so not worth it, and I don't care what people say. It could be a dermat, it could be an esthetician. I don't care whether you're a skincare expert or not. If you tell me to buy a high-end skincare product, I am probably not going to listen to you. But it's just not sustainable, you guys. It's just not sustainable. And drugstore skincare and like affordable skincare is equally as good. I mean, I think I'm a living example of that, because I have rarely spent high-end I've spent my money on high-end skincare, and my skin has still improved regardless, and it has improved with the most affordable products, which are like under 1,000 rupees. So I don't know what to tell you. Moving on next, the fourth one is less is more and consistency is key. Now this one is something that I both agree and disagree with, again, like a lot of the other things in this video. Basically what I mean by that is it's not about the quantity of products that you're using, or it's not about how many products you're using essentially in your skincare routine, but the main thing that you have to consider is that you have to use like whatever you're talking about here, the serum, the moisturizer, sunscreen, you have to use it consistently to see results. So do what you think is right, like the quantity of products and the number of products you're using. You can use 10 products in your routine, but if you're not going to be able to keep it up, then what's the point of it? So the number of steps in your routine should be decided based on, of course, your skin concerns, but also how much you can keep it up. Like if you're not going to be able to use 5 products every single day in your morning routine, just cut it down. Maybe like start with 3 and try to keep that up consistently. And then if you feel like, okay, I'm able to use 3 products consistently over a course of 6 months, then maybe think about adding a 4th product in if you need it. Otherwise, just like stick to how much you can actually use, is like my biggest tip that I would give you. And in the day and age where you know, people are talking about, oh, you should not have a 10-step routine, or you should not have a 2-step routine, it doesn't matter how many steps you have in your routine. What matters is how much can you use consistently. So that would be like my biggest tip, is that don't let either parties, like the overdoing it or the underdoing it, don't listen to anyone. Just think about it yourself and know how much you can actually use. Anyway, moving on next, the 5th one, and this is going to get me probably in a lot of trouble, because I think some people might say that I am a hypocrite here, which I feel like I am not. But let me tell you what this is. You don't need to buy every single launch that is out there. And the reason I'm saying I'm not a hypocrite is because I feel like I have also adapted this mindset in my own life. I used to a lot of times feel like I needed to you know, buy all the launches, review them for you guys, because you know, I have a YouTube channel, I have an Instagram which I hardly post on. But I used to feel like I have to review every single product because I'm a YouTuber, and I initially started my channel kind of because of the same thing where I was like, I want to try out everything so that you don't have to, and I will tell you what is good and what is not good, and then you can accordingly decide what you want to buy, and that way I will save people money. That is what my initial thought process was when I started my YouTube channel, in case anyone does not know that. But gradually, as I started using products, I realized, okay, a lot of the new launches are not really that new. They already exist in the market. They might be similar, they might not seem like they're similar, but they're very, very similar. And if you have already figured out certain products that are working really great for you, then why do you need to keep buying more and more and more? The only time when I actually get excited about something is because I feel like it's somewhat new, something unique that I can try out and discover and share with you guys, and that is kind of why I've realized that I will only be buying products which excite me, which I'm excited to use, which I think I will actually use. Not like I get excited about something, buy it, and then I don't end up using it and it's just sitting in some corner of my cabinet. That is not my intention anymore. I want to be very, very mindful about the money that I'm spending going on forward. And I've seen so many people get excited about new launches in a certain category, and they're like, review this, review that, review this, review that, and I'm like, are you telling me to review this because you're excited about a new launch, but is it something that you actually think you need? Are you buying it because you think you need to try out every new launch and you want to know from me whether it's good or not? Or are you just like, I mean, what is the purpose of new launches anymore? Is it just because brands want to increase their SKUs and add more and more products to their product lineup? Or are they trying to bring something new to the market? And I feel like more often than not, they're just trying to add more SKUs. They don't want to actually bring new products to the market. They just want to copy each other based on the success. Okay, this brand did this really well and the product went viral, so you know what, we should make something similar as well, and you know, that's going to increase sales for us. I feel like a lot of brands kind of go into launches with this mindset. So yes, moving on next. My sixth one, and this is one that I again get a lot of hate for, but I don't care, and that is, I genuinely think most people don't use enough sunscreen, and I feel like I was also guilty of this initially when I started using sunscreen. Is I was not using the right amount, and I feel like because of that I had more favorite sunscreens because I was using a lesser amount. Later on, when I realized how much sunscreen you need to actually use, a lot of sunscreens I felt like became very, very oily on my skin. They would not sit well on my skin because the texture and the consistency was just not working for me, considering my skin type, considering how much product you need to actually use. And when I do my like showing you guys the texture of a certain product and reviewing it on shorts, I get told a lot of times that, oh my god, this is not how much sunscreen you should be using, you're using way too much, etc, etc, etc. And I just laugh it out because I realize too much sunscreen is not a thing, because there are so many people who kind of preach that you should be constantly reapplying your sunscreen, which is not practical for me personally because I wear makeup. And yes, you can use sunscreen sticks, sunscreen sprays, sunscreen powders. Okay, so before I went into a coughing fit, I was talking about a different like reapplication sunscreen tools and like kind of products that you can use essentially, but I just don't think those are practical. What I would rather do instead, and this is something I heard from, I think it was Gothamista, like Renee, basically. She has been in the skincare space for like decades, and she like I saw her, like I heard or watched one of her videos in which she was saying that she uses like 2 layers of sunscreen on her face. Like you basically take a lot of amount and divide it into 2 layers and apply that on your face. And while that exact technique doesn't really work for me, but what I would do instead is I would use a generous amount of sunscreen in my first application and make sure that I'm evenly coating every single like millimeter of my face, and of course neck, and just have that be my only application for the day. And I have never tanned, at least on my face and on my neck, doing that and using that technique. So that just works for me, and I will use as much sunscreen as I possibly can, because I would rather use too much sunscreen than using not enough sunscreen. So to each their own, and if you want to use like a small amount of sunscreen and pretend like it's going to still work for you, then you do you. Not going to tell you otherwise. I mean, I want to tell you otherwise, but yeah, it is just what it is. Moving on next. Yes, we're on point number 7, and this one is again something I've heard from a lot of dermats, and I've actually learned it from them, is that vitamin C on its own is not a great brightening ingredient. At least it's not one that's going to work on its own as a standalone ingredient. And I've spoken about this specific thing in another video as well, where I basically did like a active ingredient guide for you guys. I spoke about what different active ingredients do for you, and I mentioned specifically in that video as well that vitamin C is not really the best ingredient for hyperpigmentation and dark spots, at least not for me and my skin personally. And this is again something where different ingredients work well for you. So if vitamin C works for you as a brightening ingredient and it helps with your hyperpigmentation, then that's great. But if it's not working for you, then don't just stick to vitamin C for years and try different formulas and try to get something to work for you, because I feel like I have done that mistake. I spent like over 2 years just trying out like 20 or 25 different vitamin C serums from different brands, and it didn't work for my hyperpigmentation at all. And plus I spent a lot of money on those, whereas instead if I could have focused on other brightening ingredients like kojic acid, azelaic acid I've not used much, but kojic acid, tranexamic acid, etc., those work so much better as brightening ingredients for your skin. And I wish I knew that earlier, and I wish I had started using them earlier. So vitamin C is not the gold standard for hyperpigmentation, and that's something a lot of people will not tell you. Everyone would love to slap vitamin C on a product and say that this is going to help with your hyperpigmentation. It's not. Moving on next, and this is another very controversial hot take, and that is we don't actually have a skin type, and this is something that I think it's going to be difficult for people to wrap their head around. So I'm going to try to explain this the best I can. Your skin type is based on various different factors. Your environment, like what climate you're living in, what city you're living in, the products that you're using, your genes, your hormonal factors, whether you're pregnant or not pregnant, etc. And I have quite a few examples to give you for this specifically. So I had a very oily skin growing up, especially like since I hit puberty, etc. My skin type was quite oily and acne prone as well. But after using niacinamide, my skin became less oily, and my skin also became less acne prone. After using retinol, it helped with my acne a lot. And there were also a ton of internal factors going on, so I'll be very honest and tell you that my hormones also played a big role in all of this. But skincare helped me tremendously as well, so I don't want to ignore that fact at all. So initially my skin was very oily. Now it's a little bit more normal combination, and keep in mind I'm living in Mumbai, so in the humid weather that's what my skin type is like. Whereas if I go to a drier city in India, like whenever I travel to Udaipur, Jaipur, Jaisalmer, Jodhpur, those places, which I have done a few years ago, I've traveled to quite a few of these cities, and it was not necessarily I was traveling in the winters, so that's not like a big factor. But those cities don't have as much humidity, and because of that, those are more like drier cities, I would say, which is why when I go there my skin becomes more dry. If I had to move there, my skin would always be dry. So that is a very big factor to consider as well. Along with that, I've also had some friends tell me that like they all live here basically, and their skin might be quite problematic. But when they go to like a more countryside, or like when they go to their gaon, essentially their skin just clears up. The water, or the climate over there just dramatically improves their skin. And once they come back again to Mumbai, their skin gets bad again. So or rather gets dull again. It could be the pollution playing a role, it could be the water, it could be just so much, it could be the overall climate. Like Mumbai is more hot and humid, whereas wahan ka climate might have been more cooler. So that's another big factor to consider when it comes to your skin type. Another factor, this is something which I've heard a lot of people speak about, especially older women who, when I say older women, I mean older than me. So anyone who's in their like early 30s and they recently got pregnant, they might have had very dry skin earlier and now they have oily skin. Or they might have had oily skin and then after pregnancy their skin becomes more dry. So again, pregnancy is a very, very, very big shift in a woman's life, in her hormones, in her body, and your skin type can be influenced and affected by that. So there are so many different factors that influence your skin type that it is very hard to say that, oh, I have oily skin. You might have oily skin today, but if you go to Kashmir, will your skin still be oily? Probably not. Most of us might have a dry or an oily skin throughout the year, but in the winters our skin is definitely going to get more drier. So that being said, I don't think anyone has a real skin type. I think our environment, our body, our hormones play a big role in the way our skin is, and a big part of it could be genes as well. A lot of people I've heard saying this, that oh, my mom has dry skin and I feel like I have dry skin too. And the same might be applicable for oily skin as well. It could be your genes, it could be your mom, your aunt, your dad. Anyone could be playing a role when it comes to like the generation before you basically, and that's kind of how your skin type is the way it is. So that's why I feel like no one really has a skin type. You should see how your skin is feeling and accordingly decide whether you should be using products for dry skin or normal skin or oily skin or whatever skin whatever you feel like your skin type basically is at that stage of life. Okay, we have our last two points what I want to talk about in this video. The ninth one is Amazon related videos, like Amazon favorites, Amazon hauls, etc. I feel like facilitate a lot of unnecessary purchases and in general consumerism. Now I used to not watch a lot of these videos, but I feel like recently I've gotten into watching a little bit more lifestyle content, including Amazon focused videos where people are discovering different kind of products. Because what I feel like for me personally, I've discovered a lot of types of things which I didn't know existed and which were available on Amazon, because they might not be available in your usual stores that you go to buy certain things, whereas when you search for the same thing on Amazon you will actually find those things. So I feel like it is educating you to a lot of stuff that's available out there in the market. That being said, if you are someone who is a shopaholic and you love shopping like I do, or like I used to at least earlier, now I feel like I've gotten a little bit better at it, but if you are someone who sees something interesting and you automatically want to buy it, I feel like Amazon can kind of like watching these videos, I would say, not just Amazon, I don't think the brand is responsible for it, but because we have this new niche of people who love to talk about lifestyle things and do their Amazon hauls and Amazon favorites, etc. A lot of people get influenced by it and end up buying things that might just be lying in their house that they might not actually use, but they just saw it online, they liked it and they bought it. And this is encouraging a lot of unnecessary spending, a lot of waste that is lying around in people's houses. Because if you are buying those things that you feel like, oh, this is so nice and unique, I should buy it, is it useful to you is the question. And if it's not useful to you, then you're just spending money on something that you are going to own but you're not going to use. It's just going to be unnecessary clutter, stuff that you're going to have to maintain and you know, keep around in the house, whereas that is just wasted space. And as someone who owns a lot of stuff and doesn't have as much space in my house, the idea of that really irritates me. I don't want to buy anything anymore that is not going to serve me in my day-to-day life, and it's just going to be additional stuff that I have to store, and I just don't want that. And I want to encourage people also to be very careful and cautious. You can watch these videos, there is absolutely nothing wrong about it, as long as you can control yourself from buying unnecessary things that you won't actually need or use. And then last but not the least, and this is something which I've also gotten a lot of hate for in the past, because I've done a few videos where I've spoken about using a glycolic acid toner and a retinol serum. Usually when I'm talking about my nighttime skincare routine is when I talk about these, and I have been told how I'm going to damage my skin, ruin my skin completely by using these two ingredients together. But I think a lot of people don't realize that I've been using AHAs for years now. I don't even remember how long it's been. It's been, I think, more than 5 years for sure. And I've also been using retinol for, I think, 2 years at this point, would be a good time frame to say. And also, like when I say retinol, I mean like over-the-counter retinol, so the percentage is not as high and the products are not as potent or as strong on my skin. It's not like I'm using Tret, which is tretinoin, by the way, if people don't know what the short form stands for. I've personally used glycolic acid toner, specifically the minimalist one or the CosRx one, the Isentry one. I've used a few different ones with different retinol serums, and I think initially my skin used to tingle a little bit. I wouldn't even say burn, it was just tingle for a few minutes, because again, the first time you use it or the second time you use it, your skin will probably be a little bit sensitive to it, but over time your skin definitely gets used to it. And I feel like I noticed great results with my skin, with my overall texture, with if I had bumps or if I had like sort of like acne-ish, like those breakouts basically on my skin. It helped a lot, and it's not something that I do regularly anymore, but recently, I would say even the past few days, I would occasionally use the Foxtail Diva, a little bit of it first, and then I would use my Foxtail Retinol on top of it. And the Foxtail Diva, I would say, on my skin personally, and how resilient my skin is it's very gentle. It doesn't even tingle or burn at all. So yeah, I just used them together, and I was facing a lot of breakouts. I don't know if you can see this one over here. This was like a full-fledged breakout. It didn't even have pus, it was just a big glob on my face, and it has gone down significantly. And then there were a few breakouts here, which I don't know if you can see very well or not, but my skin was just cleared up, and there was no irritation, no tingling, nothing on my skin, and I used those two together without any problems at all. So I don't think everyone needs to do it, but if you do it and if it works for your skin, and especially people who are more experienced with active ingredients, if they do that, it's not going to ruin your skin, it's not going to burn your face off, it'll actually give you better results if you do it occasionally, I feel like. And I have not done it like for a longer period of time consistently, so I cannot speak on that, but I feel like just in a short amount of time I noticed amazing results. So then I eventually stopped doing it after some time, because I also think about it like my active ingredients are focused on my skin concerns, and when I have that concern, I will use the active ingredient to kind of help with it. But once it's like kind of out of the way, I don't need to continue using it. So that's how kind of I think of it like, and it has worked really great for me. So I wanted to also mention it in this video, in case anyone doesn't want to come at me but wants to actually know whether you can do it or not. I want to let you know that you can, but you need to be like, don't be a novice with active ingredients. You need to be like someone who's used it for a few years, and then you can do it as well and try it out. But if you're a beginner, definitely do not do it, because your skin might probably not be used to it. So that is that. Those were all the hot takes that I wanted to share with you. This video is like half an hour long, so thank you so much if you have stuck till this point in the video. If you have, please leave this emoji right here in the comment section, and I want to know if you watched the entire video and how many people actually ended up watching the entire video. So yes, that's gonna be it. Let me know again if you want to see a part 2 of this video, because I have a few more and I would love to share that along with others in the second part of this video. So yes, that is that. Thank you so much for you. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and until next time, bye bye.